All right, everybody, welcome back. We're going to do lesson number 3 of session 2 of depths in our communication sessions. Hopefully you've listened to the other lessons in this session number 2, as it will make the most sense. And so here we go. We're going to talk about the question that you ask the world. You might have seen this material in different ways or heard about it in different ways. This is kind of our rendition of it as it's been brought to us. And so this is the question that you would ask the world. And we're talking about 2 mediums that just make all the difference in communication. Last session, the difference between logic and logical versus emotional reasoning. This second medium here is acceptance versus competence. I want you to know that before it, like different, it's not gender specific. Men or women are not necessarily more emotional or rational than the other. There might be more typical things, but this one for sure is gender specific. This is basically about all guys and about all women, all right? And so these are gender specific. Every guy is asking the world a certain question. He's asking it when he walks into a room, full of other guys or other people. He's asking it at work. He's asking it at home. He's asking it when he goes for walks by himself. He's asking the world this question, and it's this: can I do this? In other words, do I have what it takes? I think it's John Eldridge, right, that writes a book, Wild at Heart, that every guy stamped on the inside of every guy's heart, right, is this question: can I do this? Am I competent? Am I able? Can I do this? This is often why in a guy's guys will ask each other, so what do you do? Right? And because so they're competing or they're comparing themselves in terms of what they do for a living, in terms of their action, in terms of their career. This is why many times when a guy loses his job, it's a lot more emotionally involving for him than it would be for the same sort of scenario for his wife or for a woman. Because what they do means so much to them about who they are. They're asking the question, they're asking the world this question: can I do this? Every she is asking the world a very different question, and it's this: am I accepted? Every guy is asking the question, can I do this? And every woman's asking the question, am I accepted? In other words, am I cherished? Am I loved? Am I wanted? Am I beautiful? Am I precious? Am I needed here? Right? Every woman is asking a very different question. You see how different those are, in a husband-wife relationship. They're both coming to the table with very different questions, very different things that need to be asked. And yet, there is no one more qualified to answer a husband's question, can I do this, than his wife. And there is no one more qualified to answer a wife's question than her husband. There's no one more qualified than the husband to say to his wife and to communicate to his wife, you are my princess, you are beautiful to me. There's no one more qualified than for a wife to say to her husband, honey, you've got what it takes, you can do this, I believe in you. Those words are magic to each other, and there's no one more qualified. This one concept explains fundamentally 90% of all the conflict that you'll have in your marriage or in your life. It works across the board at work or in friendships, across the board in family. All conflict that you will have in your marriage or life can be explained by the fact that somebody just thought that their competence was called into question and their defenses went up. That somebody just felt that they weren't accepted or weren't worth it or weren't being cherished and their defenses went up. And all the toxic parts of their character begin to be expressed because of that. And so it explains 90% of the conflict that you'll have in your marriage and life. That Mary and I can testify to this, that it's like north of 90% of all the conflicts that we've ever kind of fleshed out and hashed out in our marriage at their root come down to this: that I got bent out of shape because of a competency issue, that Mara felt her defenses just needed to be up, that it just wasn't safe because of an acceptance issue. All right, this one concept explains fundamentally that God's method of communication to you, right? God's method, God is communicating to guys, you can do it. You can do this, you have what it takes. God is communicating to women, to ladies, you're beautiful, you're cherished to me, you're accepted to me. God speaks right to the heart. This one concept explains the most powerful conversations that you can have with your spouse or your friends, etc. This right here, if you can keep this in mind, that he or she is asking this question and that you're about to touch on it, you're about to answer that question on some level, if you can keep that in mind, you can go into quality, deep rich areas of communication with each other. Why? Because it feels so safe. I would say anything to somebody that really believed in me and I knew that, believed I could do it. A woman will open up her heart and her life to somebody, right? To an incredibly beautiful, rich depth to somebody that she knows is going to love her and accept her and cherish her for who she is. Isn't that right? So if you can keep this in the back of your mind in those conversations, she's not thinking, I wonder if I can do this. She's thinking, am I accepted? Am I beautiful to him? Does he even want me? Does he even see me? Right? He's not thinking, oh, I wonder if I look good today. Right? Oh, I wonder if she thinks I'm handsome. Right? He's thinking, do I even have what it takes here to pull this relationship off? Do I even have what it takes here to have a peaceful evening with my family? You know, do I even have what it takes here to make the money that she needs in order to be happy with our lives? Isn't that right? Okay? Very different questions, and if we can keep it in mind, we'll do well. This medium is at work in all levels of communication. You can see it from surface levels to your identity, including the 4 areas of the most internal conflict and the greatest joy in life. And I'm going to list them here for you. The 4 areas of the most conflict in any marriage, or, you know, if you're not married, the areas of biggest conflict that are core to who you are these: your sexuality, your money, if you have kids, the issue of kids, and religion, what you believe about God. Those are the 4 areas of biggest conflict. And the questions, am I competent? Am I able to do this? And the question, am I accepted, are being asked and answered right on those, right around those issues. The acceptance competence principle reveals, it shows why nagging doesn't work for him. All right, you know, the classic example of he's just so frustrated that she is asking him to do this again, right? That she's nagging. Can you please get this done? The tap is still dripping, you know, whatever it might be. Why doesn't that work? Like what, you know, she is reminding him and helping him do what he's supposed to do, what he's signed up to do. Why does it go downhill so fast? Why does it not work to such a great degree? Why? Because he's asking the question, can I do this? And she's answering it for him. Nope, you still haven't. Nope, you still can't. Nope, you still don't have what it takes. Nope. Do you see what I mean? All right. So this is why nagging doesn't work in a relationship. And this concept also shows why giving advice doesn't work oftentimes for her. Right? Oftentimes our wives or, you know, our ladies are explaining a problem that they're having, or a feeling, or an issue or situation that they're being faced with, or whatever. And what do we want to do as guys? We want to fix it because she can do it. She's able, right? If she just made the right choices, right? You can do this, honey. I've got some great advice for you. But she's not asking. She's not on that playing field at all. She's like that. She's playing a completely different sport. You know, like she's not even right. What she's asking is, do you accept me? Do you love me? Do you cherish me? Can you see that? We just want to give advice because you can do it. So this explains why so many times our relationships are we're butting heads in our relationships. Listen, this explains huge things in a work environment, or in different family relationships, or father-daughter, mother-daughter, mother-son, father-son relationships. This explains so much. If we can keep in mind the question that the other person is asking, even though they're never going to tell us that they're asking it. If we can keep that in mind and then answer accordingly, we can be the voice of God to other people. Do you hear me? That God wants to speak to the people that are on the other side of us. You're beautiful. You're accepted. You're cherished. God wants to speak through us. You can do it. Be encouraged. God wants to speak those messages of competency through us to other people. And if we will keep that in mind and hear that, we can be the voice of God to other people around us, answering those questions. All right, so here are some practical how-to exercises to help get you there. Make competence and acceptance a way of thinking about and treating people close to you. Keep it in the back of your mind all the time, no matter who you're talking to. You know what? Really, they're asking this question. Am I answering it? Am I answering it well? You know, even in times when you have to criticize somebody's competency about something, there's ways to do it so that you're doing it gently and in the right way. So make it competence and acceptance a way of thinking about and treating people close to you. Recognize you've come alongside people significant to you partway through their journey. And God's agenda is to use you to answer their question. Do you think that when you're in front of somebody, you know, you're driving somebody around at work or lunch hour or something, you don't know where they're at on their journey towards God, you know, what God's been saying to them or where they're at. You know, you've just come, your paths have just crossed for this brief few years that you work there or whatever it might be, right? But really God's got an agenda and he can use you to answer their question, right? Another one here is to learn to believe the affirmations of others. Learn to believe the affirmation. You know, when someone says an affirmation to you from God about your question, about the question that you ask, learn to believe it. Receive it. Accept it. Say, I agree with it. All right? This question of acceptance versus competence, I mean, you can mine so much gold out of it. You know, you can use it right away. You can use it in pretty much any relationship ever. You can use it to help navigate these levels of communication, to go deep in your communication, and to find places of great satisfaction there. So I hope you find that useful. And that is session 2, lesson 3. And we're going to sit around and discuss it a little bit. Hope you enjoy it.